Howdy, friendos. I'm TheKrazyJason, and welcome to my Wacky Emporium. That's right, it's time to answer some of these fucking questions. The time has arrived, it's here. I know I've been lax, I apologize. As per usual, I am sorry. Now, here's the deal. First of all, I want to thank everybody who asked a question, because you know, there were a lot of questions. I believe there were like what, in the neighborhood of 107, 108 posts. But within those posts, I had anywhere from 8 questions to 3 questions to 7 questions. So when you average everything out, you know, I'm looking at about 500, 600 questions. I can't do that. You know, I can't sit here and make a 7-hour video. Well, I could, but I don't want to. I also don't want to drag this out over, you know, a course of a couple of months, uploading, you know, multiple videos. So I had to make the decision to pretty much answer, you know, I want to get to everybody. And I want to go ahead and say up front, pay attention now, if I happen to miss you, it's just because in the mix of all of this, you know, these printouts, all this stuff, getting paper shuffled up, I could skip over somebody. It's not personal, I'm telling you right now, because I intend on addressing everybody if I can. If I missed you, just send me a private message, okay? But as this is just part 1 of several videos. I don't know how long this is going to take, but you know, we'll just dive in and see how it goes. You know, let's not get our feathers ruffled. Whew. I'll try not to get defensive, okay? I'm trying my best. All right, so what else did I want to say? Okay, so basically, you know, my idea is to answer at least 1 question per person. Now, some people who ask multiple questions, I may answer more than 1 if I, you know, find something interesting that I want to talk about. So, that being said, let's just get into it. Okay. First of all, we have from the Artificial Horizon. What release in your collection are you most ashamed of owning? I'm not ashamed of owning anything. Case in point. Dirty Dancing. That's right. And yes, I did have to have it on Blu-ray. And yes, I understand there's a nice, you know, pink collector's edition. Wouldn't mind having it. You know, got to see the gorgeous cinematography in this movie in high definition. Yeah. So, not ashamed. I don't get ashamed. And I don't mind telling people, you know. So, all right. I'm going to answer another one of his questions. Let's see. Which Blu-ray release, and he tells me I may only choose one, do you consider to be the worst? Total Recall. Total Recall is the worst Blu-ray release that I have laid my eyes on. It looks like sharpened shit. Okay? Now, I do have the Dutch Steelbook. I believe it's Dutch Steelbook. And that one looks significantly better. So if you have to get the movie, I would suggest importing it. I think it's ridiculous that we should have to import a movie that was made here to get a better transfer, but that's what we have to do. Now that Dutch release, it looks pretty good. You know, it looks significant. You know, it looks great. It's fine. It's acceptable. But the Total Recall that was released here, absolutely unwatchable in my opinion. A close second would be, and a lot of people would probably say this is probably number 1, but the Predator Hunter edition with the scary CG Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers that they replaced the real actors with in the first scene. You know, it actually instilled fear in me. I couldn't handle those images. So I'm sorry I picked 2, but yeah. All right, I'm going to move on. What is your favorite British film and who is your favorite British actor? Michael Caine, as always, you know, whether he's playing a funny role or a dramatic role, he has such great range. He's been around forever. He's the kind of guy that no matter what movie he's in, you know, just the fact that he's in it makes it interesting to me. What is my favorite British film? I'm going to say The Remains of the Day. Okay? I guess that's okay. Is that all right? Look at me, I'm getting defensive already. I'm being a doubting Thomas. Nels Fuent asks, what's going to happen to your Blu-ray DVD collection when you die? I'm not going to die. Here's what I want you to do. Go to Google and type in the singularity. Okay. All right. Mega Oscar 19. Say 5 movies you saw in theaters so far this year. Okay, I saw Transformers in 3D, big mistake. Harry Potter, Midnight in Paris, Rise of the Apes, and X-Men First Class. I actually saw that twice. So, all right. Video Man 7641058 asks, do you work? And if so, what do you do? Yes, I'm a photographer. All right. Nels Fuent again. I found something interesting here. What was your first DVD and Blu-ray you ever bought? I can't remember the first DVD I ever bought. I just can't. But the first Blu-ray was definitely Blade Runner, and I know I've talked about this before. When I made the big switch to Blu-ray, PS3, the plasma, and I made the decision that the first movie I was going to watch was Blade Runner. So, yeah. I'm also going to answer this question from the same person. If you could remake a film, what film would that be? The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Because when I was a kid, I was when I was a wee lad, before I could even read, my mother read those books to me. And as I got older and was able to read myself, I read them over and over, like 7 times over. You know, it was a big part of my, that and Star Trek were a big part of my inner fantasy and you know, adventure and play world as a child. So when I decided to become a filmmaker, you know, one of my dreams was always to make The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You know, preferably the entire series, but at least, you know, one of those films. And when they made The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I was disappointed. And I know a lot of people like that movie, and I actually like Prince Caspian. I thought it was pretty good. I think the reason why is my expectations were high, folks. I mean, you know, high like high for the Star Trek movie, or high for Star Wars. That's how high it was. So, you know, maybe one day I'll go back and look at The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and think it's not too bad, but I was disappointed. I'm going to go ahead and ramble a little bit here and say another film that I always wanted to make from my early teen years was Stephen King's The Stand. I always wanted to adapt that into like a 3-hour epic post-apocalyptic movie. At that time I was a huge, I've always been, but as a young teenager I was a bit of a loner in junior high and high school, and I read a lot of post-apocalyptic books, and The Stand, really, man, that was really one of my favorites. And but they made it into a TV miniseries, and you know what? It was okay. I actually have it, and I think I disagree with some of the casting choices. Some of them were spot on, some of them were way off. But all in all, they did a pretty good job. They did a faithful job of telling the entire story. But I believe that at one time, Kitty, will you please? I'm nervous enough here. I'm a fucking wreck. I don't need you clawing at the goddamn door. Please. She didn't fucking listen. Do you mind? Will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch? Okay. Where was I? The Stand? Yes. George Romero was at one time attached to direct The Stand. Can you imagine? George Romero plus The Stand. I can't. Wish it had happened. It didn't. Instead, we had The Dark Half. Okay. Where am I here? I'm the DVD man. Which Harry Potter film is your favorite? The Goblet of Fire. If there was a fire, what would be the first and only thing would you take given the chance? And this is from the Chris 19840. One thing. That's hard. That's hard, but I'm going to have to say my Rocky one-sheet. My original Rocky one-sheet is probably the one thing I would take with me. His whole life was 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Think about it. Okay. What has been... Okay, this is from Aid the Bloody. What has been your biggest disappointment in a movie? Something you have really looked forward to and it sucked big time. Well, there's one, and it's no surprise, and that would be The Phantom Menace. I know, not a big surprise, but listen. People of my generation, we grew up watching those Star Wars films. They were a huge part of our childhood. You know, I remember, you know, as a kid I was more of a Star Trek guy, but Star Wars, yeah, man, playing Star Wars, being Luke Skywalker, being Han Solo, I still remember having Han Solo's blaster, you know, the toys, and, you know, so at the time, you know, I was primed, I was pumped, and I was one of those people that camped out the night before in front of the theater. That's right, actual camping gear. You know, people were having lightsaber duels out in the parking lot, and like so many others, you know, I deceived myself into thinking, well, that wasn't so bad. That was actually pretty good. And then about 6 months later, the postpartum depression kicked in. Yeah, so. A close second to that would be Godzilla, which came out about a year later. So, that was a bad time for a movie. Well, 1999 was a great year. But just after that, the really early 2000s, well, I'm going to take that back too. Godzilla sucked, bottom line. Alright, so, Lindsay Emery 12. What are your favorite Martin Scorsese movies? Who's That Knocking at My Door? Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. Mean Streets. Taxi Driver. Raging Bull. Goodfellas. After Hours. That's an underappreciated gem. I like a lot of his earlier stuff. I'll say that. Let's see, what else? What are your favorite video games? Fallout, baby. Fallout. Fallout all the way. I can live in the Fallout universe. I can't wait until they release Fallout 4. I hope they get this whole legal battle done and over with, and maybe we'll have an online game, and if they actually pull that off and it's good, then guys, I'm going to have to bid you adieu, because I will go and I will live in that world. I will wear adult diapers, catheter, the whole works. But, yeah, Fallout. Oh, and I'm looking forward to Rage as kind of a filler in between. All right, let's see. Also from Lindsay Emery, what are your favorite sci-fi movies? Aha. Alien, Aliens, Star Trek 2, Star Trek 6. The Next Generation cast, unfortunately, they never really made a good transition into motion pictures. You know, Generations, I go back and forth on. First Contact, I have to say, is a good sci-fi action movie. Let's see, what else? Star Wars, of course. The original Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. And to a slightly lesser degree, Return of the Jedi. Prequel sucked. Bottom line, although I have to say that Revenge of the Sith, I enjoyed the last 15 minutes because it felt like Star Wars. So, whatever. Let's see, what else? What else? District 9 we've had some good science fiction the past few years. Moon is great. The Terminator films, Total Recall, Silent Running, Dark Star. I mean, and I know I'm forgetting stuff because I'm a huge sci-fi fan, and I know I'm leaving out something, or a lot of movies. And I'm not throwing post-apocalyptic films into this. I'm not throwing that subgenre into the sci-fi films. Okay, well, I'm sure I left something out, but moving on. Let's see. Ha! I can't actually say the name of this person who asked this question because it's just not couth. I can't say that on my channel. But, and I don't want to offend you by not saying your name, but I guess you can understand why. But he asked, have you seen the movie The Burbs with Tom Hanks, directed by Joe Dante? It's full of classic one-liners and has Corey Feldman. Yes, I have seen The Burbs. It's got the fell dog. It's one of those, you know, it came out right as the 80s was kind of dying out. And so it's one of those last gasp movies of the 80s. Love it. Xbox Collection Update asks, Crazy, do you have Xbox Live and do you like Rob Zombie movies? I don't have Xbox, although sometimes I wish that I did, because usually when I'm out and about I see Xbox games that are not available on the PS3 and I really wish I had one. So I may pick up one sometime if I find a good deal around Christmas or something. I don't know. Rob Zombie. That's a really interesting question to me. I'm glad you asked it. Rob Zombie, I've warmed to Rob Zombie over the years. I've always thought that he's an artist and what he's creating is art. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good art. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, I go back and forth in my mind is what he's doing is he creating films for the public, or is it just mental masturbation? Okay. Let's see. When I first saw House of 1,000 Corpses, House of 1,000 Corpses, I saw it in a theater, and my mistake was I saw it opening night with a bunch of Rob Zombie fans, and there was a kid sitting right behind me. And the entire film, every shot, whoa, that was awesome, incredible, genius. And that pretty much killed it for me, you know. But then, you know, his other films came out. What am I thinking of? God damn it, I can't think. Well, I can tell you this, I initially didn't enjoy his Halloween films, but they have grown on me to the point that October is not too far off, and I'm starting to get that early fever to watch horror films, and I'm holding it off, you know. But his Halloween films, although, you know, I hold them separately from the Carpenter original and that whole series, but I've grown to enjoy those movies. I don't know why, but I just do. And his one film, I can't think of the name of it. Devil's Rejects. Yes, Devil's Rejects. I quite enjoyed that. It was ballsy. He obviously did it his way. So I don't know, you know, I'm back and forth on Rob Zombie. I have a lot of thoughts about him that apparently I'm not able to string into coherent sentences at the moment, which would indicate that this might be a good time to end part 1 of the Q&A. Okay? Alright, so once again, thanks to everyone who asked the questions. I was really, it touched me, actually, how many people came out and asked questions. And we'll see you next time. for part 2. I'm Crazy Jason, and you've been in my wacky emporium, baby.